back to my channel. If you're new here, feel free to check me out, join the family. And if you're returning, I hope your day is going really well, your night, your evening, your morning, whatever it may be. It's really good to see you again. So, this week's video is a little bit different. I am doing a bullet journal plan with me for July. I have had a bullet journal for 3 years. This is my second bullet journal. And if you're unfamiliar with bullet journaling, it is basically a planner/journal system that keeps you organized, and you have to design your own spreads for it. I would highly recommend it if you are interested. Without further ado, this is how I set up July in my bullet journal. Okay, so I'm at my desk with my bullet journal, and the first thing I like to do when setting up my monthly spreads is create a Pinterest board. I've actually already done that, so I've been scrolling through it and trying to figure out what I want the cover page to be and the layout. I already know what the monthly trackers I'm going to use are. So I will just insert a video of me scrolling through that now. So I just continue to scroll through my Pinterest board to try and figure out what I wanted to put for this month's setup. And I ended up deciding on an ocean theme, as you can see by all of the pins that I chose. Initially, I had a few other ideas, but I saw the little jellyfish, and I was like, I really like that, so I went ahead and went with it. So now you can see I'm trying to draw like a bigger circle to set up my little ocean design for the July opening page. So you can see me drawing a little coral design here. And this was a little tricky. I went back and redrew it when I went in and traced over everything in the pen, which you will see later. But the coral I felt like was too thick when I drew it this first time, so I ended up kind of thinning it out. The reference photo, I copied it pretty much. There was, I think, like a seahorse on one side, and I didn't really like that. So I just didn't include that section and just kind of left it blank on the right side.
So now you can see I just went back in and I'm adding some details to the starfish and some of the leaves. Now I am getting ready to trace over everything. I used this Micron pen. It's an 02. These are artist pens, and I believe I got them at AC Moore. The pen I am using right now is a 0.3mm line pen, and they're pretty nice. I used to use them a lot in my bullet journal, but I don't so much anymore because I use Muji pens. But I do like to use them for setups. I just don't use them for my daily spreads. So now here's the fun part where I go in with some markers. This marker did end up bleeding through to the other side, but usually when stuff like that happens, I just don't use the back of the page anyway, because I usually just use one page for trackers instead of two. And you can see I'm using some orange. I tried to follow the color scheme from the little Pinterest pen I saved, which was like oranges and pinks. I think there were some blues in there as well. And some greens, of course. A little kelp vibe. I think this is always fun. I think it's kind of gratifying when you draw something yourself and then end up coloring it as well. It reminds me of like a coloring book, but it's just so much more satisfying when you actually drew it yourself for some reason. So now you can see I am working on the calligraphy letters for July and just repositioning it so that it's where I want it. I think I do it one more time. And then I go in with this purple marker, this purple Crayola marker. It's actually for poster board, so it's a little bit different. And then I'm just going back in on the downstrokes to give it that calligraphy effect without actually having to have a brush pen. Speaking of brush pens, this is a Japanese brush pen that I got from Hobby Lobby, which I am going back in and just tracing over my letters. So here I am starting on my trackers. I almost said tractors. No, I don't have any tractors. I don't know why I almost said tractors, but it's okay. So I start with these 2 little squares and I'm just labeling each day of the month. So these are going to be 2 trackers, obviously, and it's going to be my exercise tracker and my productivity tracker. And then below, I'm going to be adding a little mood tracker, which was my inspiration for the sea theme, the jellyfish. So ready for that. So you can see I am just doing another outer layer around them and just kind of figuring out where I want to put the letters for exercise and productivity. Now, I wasn't a big fan of trackers when I first started bullet journaling, mostly because I never kept up with them. But ever since I got this bullet journal back in January, I have tried to keep up with my trackers, and I think it has worked pretty well. Some other ones I have done in the past are sleep trackers. I decided not to do that this month, mostly because I hadn't kept track of them and it was already like the 2nd week of July, so that's part of it. And also, I felt like it would take up too much room if I was doing a mood tracker anyway. I did a mood tracker back in February and it worked pretty well, but when I do them, I just like to do a fun design because they're pretty to look back on later. I've also done a monthly movie tracker, which was pretty fun. Funnily enough, I didn't watch that many movies that month, and I watched so many movies literally any other month, which makes no sense to me, but I guess that's how life goes. So I did end up having a little bit of trouble with how they did the jellyfish. They had the little, I don't know what you'd call them, legs, layered, and I just was having so much trouble with that I just ended up drawing a little squiggly line and calling it a day. So then I just added some cute little air bubbles because it's supposed to be underwater. And within those, I will be putting different date numbers so that I can color them in different shades of blue for my mood tracker. So as I am tracing this, I would just like to include the beat drop right here. This song just hits, I don't know what it is. This is a little bit different from the other songs in this, but I felt that it was lo-fi enough to put it because it switches back to this little syncopated rhythm. And then it's like a rock song. I do have a few rock songs saved for other videos, so stay tuned for that. If you're interested, I will link my Spotify down below because I make monthly playlists and also different mood playlists. So I'll be oh, this is for screaming at the top of my lungs, this is for when I'm sad, nostalgic playlists, stuff like that. I am a big fan of making playlists. I did have Spotify Premium for a while, and then I ran out of gift cards. So I think that's probably going to be what I'm asking for Christmas this year because I use it so much. But I would say my favorite genre of music is probably indie/indie rock. So yes. Now you can see I am making the little code here. So, the normal blue, I suppose, is happy. The light blue is going to be unmotivated. And the darker blue is going to be sad. You can't really see, because it doesn't pick up super well on this camera, the difference between the happy and the sad shade, but trust me, there is a difference between the darker shade and the lighter shade, even if it doesn't show up on camera. I can tell in real life. So then I'm just going over the cute little mood tracker heading. And then doing my little mini tracker calendars. I ended up just using the lighter blue to draw circles around the days on the little calendar trackers. And of course the code for the jellyfish mood tracker. Just in case you were wondering what I ended up using. Now I'm finally getting onto the calendar, which is obviously the main goal of setting up the month. Because you need some space to write in stuff into the calendar. Obviously, since we're still experiencing the COVID-19 pandemic, staying inside for the most part, or at least going outside with a mask on and staying 6 feet apart from people if you can. But my main point is there will not be many events on my calendar for July this year for obvious reasons. This has also been a PSA. Please wear a mask out in public. To not only protect yourself, but the main goal is to protect other people from particles that may leave your mouth. So, now you can see I am just drawing the little squares for the calendar. I'm trying to space them out more evenly. This month started on a Wednesday, so that's what the little blank space is there, and then I'm moving to the other side. But recently I have been starting my weeks off with Monday and ending with Sunday because it classifies as a weekend, and that's how most people read their calendars anyway, because they work Monday through Friday and then there's like the weekend. So I guess it makes sense to me. My planner for the school year this year was set up this way, so I guess that's why I started using it like that, because I would accidentally get confused between my two calendars. That's another thing. A lot of people who have bullet journals just do not have a planner, and they just keep all of their work in their bullet journal. I personally don't do that. I write like days of tests in my planner, and I write the homework down in my planner and like upcoming projects, but I leave my bullet journal for like events and maybe exams and then I write my tasks that I need to do that particular day instead of just writing down, oh, this is the homework I have to do before said date. I don't put that in my bullet journal. I would put that in my planner. I think I tried taking my bullet journal to school freshman year, and I just did not end up liking it. So this is how I do it. If you do it differently, that's perfectly fine, because the main goal is just to keep you organized and, you know, get your tasks all straight. So you can see I am just drawing around the edges of this calendar with a bunch of little sea-themed designs. So we have some air bubbles again, and some seashells, and some starfish, which I think are really cute. I think it turned out really nice. It does look kind of wonky at first, because I was like, I'll just do some rough sketches and then touch it up with marker anyway. So that's what I ended up doing. So now you can see I am just about to go in with this little marker. This marker is actually pretty dry, so I ended up having to use the, I guess you could call it a highlighter side. These are dual tip markers. I got them when I first started bullet journaling, so that's why they're kind of dried out. They're Premier markers, and they're also from AC Moore. I don't know if this is like worldwide or nationwide, but I got them from AC Moore, but now I think all the AC Moores have been dissolved and like joined with Michael's, which is fine because I went to Michael's too. However, my mom personally liked AC Moore better than Michael's. Anyway, I used to be a big art fanatic, and then I kind of fell off for a while, and so now I sketch, obviously. I have a bunch of sketchbooks still, and paint sometimes, but my main art form is, of course, music. But as far as visual art goes, I kind of take bullet journaling, and I also have a film journal. I use that as my way to convey art, get that in my life still. I was trying to say like venue, I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, I just ended up coloring stuff and tracing over the little calendar dates, obviously. This is a little weird for me, of course, editing right now, because my editor is very laggy, so I'm recording this voiceover much faster than my video is actually playing, so I'm not entirely sure how this is gonna turn out. But that's okay. I went in with some of my mild liners. I believe I used 2 sets, but I mostly used the pastel set. What is it I'm trying to read the Japanese name. Fun fact, I actually took Japanese for 3 years and finished this year. I might take it in college, but we will see. I ended up not choosing to take Japanese 4, mostly because I wanted more room for my AP classes, and I don't have any elective room because of my required classes. If this means anything to you, it's the Honori Mildliner pack. I would highly recommend getting some Mildliners. I've had these for a while, so I do need to get some more. I have looked into different brands as well. I can't remember the name right now, but they have the clear tip, and they're also a different Japanese brand of highlighter and just like marker sets. So yeah, if you're looking into Japanese stationery, I would recommend Muji, also Zebra, which is the brand that makes Mildliners, and they also have cool pens. So yes. So now you can see I am just tracing over all of my little designs here with my Muji pen. This is absolutely my favorite gel ballpoint pen by far. I talk about them so much. I get them in 10 packs because they're so good. They did go up in price from the last time I bought them, but that's okay because I think they're worth it. They don't have the issue with like clogged up ink, you know, when you're trying to write something and then you have to go back over it because the pen is running out or it's like stuck. There's like an air bubble in the ink. It never does that. And it's also more of a fine point ballpoint pen. So I don't know if I would really classify it as a ballpoint pen, but that's what it says it is. These are the 0.38 pens, I believe. Yeah, these are the 0.38 ballpoint pens. They're really nice. I would totally get them. I use them for notes, but mostly it's the main pen I use in my bullet journal whenever I'm writing out my weekly spreads. So that's my main purpose for using them. So that about concludes this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All of my social media will be in the description box below and in my outro.